Hey everybody, here we are, another fine Wednesday at the baseline. It's good to see everybody. And I'm going to turn off I always forget to do that. I always forget to turn off the YouTube stream. So it's good to see everybody. We got Kyle Thomas, we got Nick Kritikos, we got Mark Haddle, Sonal Patel, as always, Jack Leahy, Dr. Andreas Freund, Manik Jain, the ever-present and awesome, and Anant Natarajan with the coolest background of all time. It's good to see everybody. It's been a busy January. Lots to talk about. Kyle, I think you've got some stuff to talk about, which is very cool. Nick, are you telling anything about your fancy thing that's happening?
Not this week.
Okay.
We're in quiet
tuned,
period,
folks.
Yeah.
All right. And I've got a pretty big announcement as well. So I will lead off with that. If you've been watching Twitter or LinkedIn, you will know that we the Mesh Consensus Mesh just put in $50,000 into the grant program for the baseline program protocol grants program, and I want to shout out to Sonal. I don't think we would have done it if it weren't for the fact that Sonal really got that program in hand and made it work. Sonal, we were very grateful to you for that, and I think the whole community is a big fan of yours at this point. And yeah, we wouldn't have put the money in if it hadn't been for you. Also, of course, thanks to the Ethereum Foundation for believing in us last year when it was still early and putting $100,000 in, and they are confirmed to match the 50 that we put in, so that'll top us up, although I don't have confirmation of the date that they will put that money in. And there's more to come. This was just our January contribution. There's a month where I've got more in the budget to spend on people doing baseline work. So that's my announcement. Happy January, everybody. Kyle, you want to hop right in? I think you have some stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah, sure. And that's great news. Exciting for the community, and glad to see another year of baselining get underway. Definitely a good update to share on my end today. We're going to talk a little bit about our baseline standards implementation, the one that's been closed source to this point, but is about to become a public good, or that's the idea, is to donate it to the public for that it could become a public good. I'm going to give a quick update on the Kona project. I know everyone is wants to see that thing blossom, so I'm going to give an update there.
Hey, Kyle, could you clarify for folks when you say a baseline standards implementation? Are you saying a baseline compliant?
I'm sorry. Yes, I didn't really state that very clearly. Our implementation of the baseline standard, the API, the one that's that the standards repo or the standards work that we've published with Oasis, or as that draft standard specification is based on.
Well, right. So you built something based on the draft standard specification. Got it. In the
that API, the Swagger API that the standard embodies, we have an implementation of that's been closed source for a year essentially. And
that's really going to inspire. If you don't mind me saying, I think that'll inspire a lot of folks to follow suit and do the same. I think that's great.
Yeah, it'll be within a matter of days finally that we're able to publish that or release that openly. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Like I said, we'll give an update on Kona. As part of the, I'll also talk briefly a little bit about Blip 10, which is, remember back when we did the init core, right, John? I'm sure you do. There was some blood, sweat, and tears that went into the init core branch, but now we have an upgrade core. I think that Blip 10 is based on.
And we will see that in 12 months. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's been 12 months in the making, I think, now that we'll just sort of flip the switch on that one.
Okay.
And then we'll talk a bit about the Oasis Provide Open project, which is sister to EEA community projects. We signed an agreement with Oasis and paid the sponsorship fee for that project. Have some organizations that are going to be joining the PGB for that. And what that is really meant to be the place where the technology that we've built at Provide can become bigger than Provide. And while we continue our work on the baseline with EEA community projects and our work with baseline in terms of the standard, so of course we'll continue to work with the community on the baseline repos and the baseline standard. But that Provide Oasis, the Oasis Provide Open project is meant to be a commercial implementation.
Right. Yeah. So you're open sourcing it, and you're using an institution rather than just kind of hitting the public button on GitHub. Taking that extra step. Hey, let me ask you, Kyle, why, what made you decide on Oasis, other than maybe it was just because we're familiar and we like them, but did you have any thought about, typically folks
Linux Foundation,
Apache or Linux?
So I think that it's definitely familiarity was one aspect. And I think it makes a lot of sense to be a sort of a sister project to EEA Open projects. Just that sort of keeping it sort of in the family there with Oasis made a lot of sense. Back in East Atlanta, we open sourced all the repos, but we didn't really have that overarching charter that I think we needed to really get traction in the right manner. It also was still very much owned and operated by Provide. And so I think there was some, plus, with all the stuff that we're doing at Provide, it's really good to, enlist the help of the pros at Oasis, to help us with the governance, getting that governance structure off the ground. And on that note, one other thing to talk about today is Provide Network. Obviously, that we've released a rather controversial ODOT 9 version of a white paper, and we've actually acted on that. That paper describes a governance token for Provide Network that acts hand in hand with UBT as a gas token.
How does that work? I've been curious about that. How does it work hand in glove with UBT? So do I want to buy both tokens to do something specific?
You can't buy Provide token. You have to. So there's not a public offering or sale of Provide token. Obviously, we're in the United States for regulatory reasons. We were very opposed to having a public sale of the Provide token. It's actually a really interesting governance structure. That actually will be described and it be optionally accessible by way of the Oasis charter as well. So very interesting way to combine the crypto community with the Oasis charter.
Open source community.
Yeah. So what you have there is the ability for organizations like Kona and others to join and own the code base, but also have a fair and equitable stake. Stake's probably a loaded word there. I don't mean it in the sense of staking, but have an equitable way to govern the network that they're using, so that the crypto community, who, if you think about it, the crypto community doesn't necessarily have the same incentives that the enterprise, community does. So when you think about like a public good on the blockchain, and you think of organizations like Kona that are looking, and all the others, in the Global 2000 that are looking to leverage this new Web3, or D-Web movement, because the incentive alignment is off. If you have a bunch of folks in the crypto community running nodes on the network, and you have these initial early adopting organizations, because the incentives are disaligned, you don't really have it's very risky for organizations to adopt it. And so the idea of the provide token, and the reason we introduced it, it truly was the vision that we had always had, that we talked about, over the past year. It needed to be implemented in this way. And so, so the Oasis charter which will be public here in very soon, we have a meeting with them Friday to sort of review. So hopefully next week we'll be able to release the charter, but you'll see that it outlines how organizations that are sponsoring that project receive sort of not receive tokens, but on the blockchain, which an upgradable contract suite has actually been deployed on the public Ethereum, on mainnet, on public Ethereum. You'll sort of see how organizations that are sponsoring that project receive locked provide tokens that stay in the governance contract, and then one of the core contracts that handles the voting mechanism allows those provide tokens that are locked in that contract to have a representative voice, half the voice on the network. So if you have, and it's also sort of nice.
It sounds like a governance token, but that's still a token.
Yeah.
You said it wasn't a token.
It's a token. You just can't buy it, right? And so
it's a governance
token. Yeah, it's a governance token for the network. And
can you transfer it?
You can. It's just an ERC20 token. Yeah. Okay. There was no
selling them, but somebody
there's no public
sell it to somebody else.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
There was just no public offering and sale of the token.
Understood.
Now, what's interesting is we've had 44 validators sign up for basically purchase a license, so that the network's permissionless. We expect thousands of validators eventually to be on the network, and
so
honestly,
is this a side chain or an L2 of some kind?
It's actually it's not an L2. It's more like an L3, or we're calling it the base layer, because L3 is still sort of the term that's coming to life. But it's I've
got a new L12 project going. You're going to love it. It's so 12.
Well, I think you need to be L4 if you want to get one layer lower.
It's actually
L3 for Web3.
I misspoke.
It
goes to 11.
We need to really catch up with the iPhones,
If you think about the provide stack, right, and the goal for this base layer, what our stack does is it takes and it basically exposes this privacy API, so that enterprise developers can easily generate proofs and store those proofs, those recursive snark proofs in our privacy service. Now, when you add a consensus mechanism to that, and you distribute it to all of the organizations and validators that are running this stack, you can then let the validators who are witnessing all of these proofs and storing them in the provide privacy service, which is also part of that public good contribution here to the Oasis project that we're sponsoring. You really start to see, that's just a base layer, and these validators can become spoolers. Essentially, they're like print spoolers for ZK rollup proofs, and those proofs are going to be deposited on Polygon, and then they're also spoolers for ZK rollup proofs in the case where such proofs need to be deposited on mainnet on L1.
Because we all love a good print spooler. It's
exactly. It's just a spooler. It's so boring, right?
That actually makes. I think I understand that. Yeah. So you need some way of kind of gobbling, just like on a print. Yeah, you hit print, and print. In computer science, print
queuing.
The print spool.
It's a print queue.
An interesting problem set.
Exactly.
But okay.
So it's a print spooler for ZK proofs that are being staged for L2.
And they get shot off in batches
into the L2
to L2, or theoretically to a mainnet or whatever, right? Wherever
exactly.
Put them. But that and so that where you're putting them is, and that so if you put on an L2, you've got that's where the Merkle tree would go. And
well, the Merkle tree is
the
on
tree to the main net, right?
Well, the Merkle tree is already there, right? The Merkle tree is being stored and provide privacy on the base layer, on layer, call it layer 3, call it the base layer, call it the provide stack. It's already there. It's the provide stack, John.
What's the L2 doing?
The L2 is verifying. What do you mean? That's also the Merkle tree. There's also a Merkle tree there, but it's for verifying the ZK rollup proofs. And then the L1 Merkle tree is the ZK rollup proofs.
So what if you were just doing digital signatures on hashes, just for consistency proofs rather than like trying to prove an attribute of some kind of information?
Well, I mean, I still think it's the same problem, right? It's the same exact problem. You deposit the proofs in the same manner. They go, it's the same exact thing. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So that's exciting, and it's exciting. It's the vision sort of realized. And it's exciting because we're bringing that to these organizations we've been working with, as a result of the baseline community, and we've been working very closely with Concircle Daily on the Kona implementation of our stack with SAP. That's really been building on that currently private but very soon to be open sourced implementation of the standard, and all of that fits nicely into this network model, which you as an organization, you don't have to run the consensus mechanism that distributes these proofs that are being stored in privacy, but you can. And if you do, then you can essentially pay the gas. Pay right now. There's a contract where you can acquire a license to validate the network and run that consensus client. And you pay right now. You pay 2,500 UBT into a contract, and 44 folks have done that.
That's where the UBT comes in. Okay.
And you pay UBT also for interacting with the stack to generate what I call naked proofs, which are recursive snark proofs that go into provide privacy. So you still do have to pay that UBT for that. And so there's a real synergy there between all the tokens. And I think that this architecture makes a lot of sense, and excited to roll out the suite of contracts that we've been working on, which is, it's the standard set that you might expect, but there's a governance contract, a set of network parameters that are a set of which are described in the first version of that paper. There's a rewards contract. You can, there's a staking contract that supports staking the provide token and the UBT. What's interesting, and there's also treasury and validator license contracts. The interesting part about staking in this model, though, is instead of sharing the rewards, the UBT rewards, for both blocks and for staking, because you earn provide token for blocks, we can take all of the UBT staking, all the UBT rewards that are available, and pay all of those for staking rewards. So it's really, there's a lot more opportunity to earn more staking rewards more faster on our model, in this model rather, than has been previously described. So super excied to
didn't quite understand all of that, but
so in comparison, so basically, we're not sharing UBT rewards for blocks because there's a governance token that's earned for those rewards, and so we're not diluting.
So what's the utility? We're not, other than that UBT has a fortuitous name, universal baseline token. I always thought was fortuitous, but other than that, what's the utility of using that over, say, ETH or something else?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think that it makes a lot of sense to have a dedicated gas token that's accounted for on this layer, this base layer.
So UBT
network
is for opcode powering.
Yeah, it's opcode powering.
Got it. And validator powering is with this non-sold governance token.
Yeah. Because you don't, if you're an organization that's using the network, you don't want to spend your votes. You don't want to spend your power. You want to, you want to spend money.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
This is actually doing it the right way, if I may say so, because if you only have a governance token that you actually cannot spend, right, that you can only vote with, then you incentivize participation by saying you have more say over the network direction.
Correctly,
whereas
that's the only thing you should be using it for.
that is
it's a governance token.
It's a governance token, as the name says, right? It's not an investment object as many are using it for. It's just basically another ICO that you just slapped a new name on.
Exactly.
And the really interesting thing is, because you're even though the network is permissionless, quote unquote, right? It's you have all the proofs then on chain. So if you want to use the asset in, let's say, a permissioned asset pool, looking at you, Nick Criticos.
Exactly.
I hear you.
It's like you want to you can have an auditor on the permissioning to then just validate the proofs, because they're on chain the entire history of it without violating privacy, and you can now use them in those permission pools, even though that asset might not have been born on Ethereum. It might have been born on the layer 3, that is then using the layer 2 for anchoring. So that actually allows enterprises to, let's take Onyx for example, for a concrete example. Let's say you have assets on Onyx, right, that you can't really do anything with except on Onyx, right? And that, a lot of banks are happy with that. But if you have like institutional investors that are doing that, and there's like, well, there's a really interesting asset-backed security over there, right? But we can't get to it because it's outside Onyx. Then Onyx can say, well, no problem, right? It's like let's create the proofs. It's like
baseline it in.
You baseline it in, and then you have ENY be the auditor for running the verifications, that even though it has been done by the network, it's like, it's always good to have an official auditor stamp those digital assets as they go into the permission of a compound maker pool.
One of the thoughts I actually had last night, and this seems like a good place to ask this question because it's beyond my technical depth, but if you created a work group and one of the actors in the work group was auditor, and then you held that key until you identified your auditor, could you then hand that key to your auditor later, whether it's EY or PwC or whoever your auditor is, to give them access to the audit function, if you will, or audit capability of that work group?
Actually, you don't need that. You don't need that. Because you
just give them your key.
No, you don't even need to do that either, right? You only have to have the clear form predicate, right?
Right.
The statement that the auditor needs to underwrite.
Gotcha.
Right? That says that these assets, and then the auditor then just runs the proof verification.
Verification. Gotcha.
For the asset, and because it's a ZK rollup, right? Because you're taking all the transactions that were done correctly, and you're creating on Onyx
a rollup.
You're actually creating an iterative proof that you're using, that you then roll up into that's your proof, and then you put that into a ZK proof, because then it has all the history in it, and that you deposit on mainnet, and then the auditor grabs that. And they don't need to know anything, as long as there's a clear message, like clear written write-up, what the asset is all about and what's supposed to do, and then it's one verification, and then you have everything verified with one proof in a few milliseconds.
Yeah, Andreas, I've been meaning to tell you I need your help, because I need a ZK roll up for my L12.
Well, the good news is the provide privacy service is recursive, and you can just click a button and anyway.
If your trusted setup is big enough, so it's like
exactly, and then we've got to talk some big CS problems to get there. That's right.
So we have maxed out ignition and with at 25 recursive steps. And with a relatively simple circuit. So it's like for more complex circuits, you're gonna max that out significantly earlier. So we actually, one of the topics that would be interesting to discuss probably later on in the year is sort of like new community trusted setups that are significantly larger than Ignition in order to leave room for very long supply chains, for example, or very long histories of asset transactions.
Very cool. So, one of the things that going back, I've been thinking of things like SAP as the L3. So do I need to make those the L4?
That's the L4 actually.
So L4 is actual databases.
Yep.
Right. And
that's
L3 is
SAP,
the spooler, and L2 is the L2 where you validate and sort of
that's
prep
a roller
for anchoring to the L1.
That's the spooler. The L3 does the individual proofs, including the recursive proofs that you need, and then you dump everything into the spooler, which is the L2, and that dumps it on, and then you have consensus because you have more than one operator confirming that the proofs are correct, or that the proofs are correctly generated and they're verified, and then you're anchoring it on L1. You verify it again, and then you're done. So
for folks who don't know, Andreas Freund, Dr. Andreas Freund is the convener, and I think we decided you're the convener and obviously potentially the chair of the L2 standards body that's being formed at the EA Open Standard or Open Community.
It has been formed, and there's also yes, it has been formed.
We have a chair.
We have
a not chair. We have a not chair.
We have a not chair. So it's like I implored Kyle to decline any nominations and not self-nominate because he has way too much shit on his plate.
You didn't have to argue with me for that.
Yeah. So
was that this morning? I missed the L2 call this morning.
You missed? Yeah. So we have a repo that is completely barren. Yet I hope to get that populated today or latest tomorrow with some interesting stuff. We have now a list of initial work items, 3. They're very interesting, going from business requirements for digital assets with residuals to precompiles for ZK rollup onboarding, and privacy requirements that do not compromise security for L2. So that's.
Now, don't we need an L3 standards body?
Yeah, we'll just take care of that. By the way, we have a very cool name.
There is a standards body for print spooling, by the way, as you know. Among printer companies, yes.
Oh my God,
there is. I could find it.
No, please don't.
I don't know why I know that. It's just a piece of fact that's jumbling around in my noggin.
Yeah,
I love that the print spooling analogy is catching fire here today.
But by the way, our repo is going to be super easy to find because its name is just going to be L2.
Yeah, I think that was a key decision taken today.
That was one of the. I think that was the most important decision taken.
Oh yeah, it's cups. Cups. CUPS.
Yeah, there's like the cup song, which I prefer much more. That's actually a fun song.
No, I mean, if you were messing around with printers back in the day, there was a time when you would. Printer.
You're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
That.
Exactly. Thank you, Nick. That's my one of my favorite songs.
They would actually like stupidly like expose. Do you want the cups version of the interface for this printer? And people are like, "What's cups?" Yeah.
Anyway, it's there are many of those bizarre stories. Yeah. So we're up and running with work items. Please join. Everybody participate. You just need to if your organization wants to participate, you just need to do a PR to the contributor file and sign the ICLA, or if your organization is not in yet, the ECLA, and then we're up and running.
Yep. And also to add to that note, anyone who's interested in becoming a sponsor of the Provide Open project that we'll be launching soon. Stay tuned for the charter. We'll be sharing that publicly next week at some point, probably. Thanks for the time today, John.
Right on. No, it's great to hear about what you guys are doing. And any announcements on any of your commercial projects? Can we make some news today or not today? I feel like one of those prying reporters. Like,
yeah, no, I think there's some really excellent progress that's coming with Kona that will be publicly shared soon. Like I said, we've been working very closely with Concircle on the daily, literally daily, to push that thing into prime time. So yeah, it's exciting. Q1 in store for sure.
You may have seen the real world asset market on Aave went live right around the new year. There's an interesting use case coming probably in the Q2 timeframe that will be leveraging the baseline pattern to bring more real world assets into the DeFi community. So can't talk about it more than that, but we'll definitely be talking to you offline. So, and when we can talk about it publicly, we will.
very cool. Sonal, I know you've got a bit of a sore throat. I don't want, but what do we have on deck for stuff goings on about the baseline protocol? We've got pretty sizable core dev team now.
Yeah.
And I think I will say this, with the new money in the grants program, if you're out there listening and you've got skills, there's money to be made by getting on. All you have to do is go. I'll actually show up the place to go, our blip repo. So you go there and you can propose a blip. That's a baseline improvement proposal, or you can respond to one that's already out there. We're going to be cooking up a bunch of them, small and large. I know for one, I'd like to do a blip on the Battleship game that has been put out. I think at the end of this month, we're going to package up a whole bunch of these projects so that they're really easy to find. And I think there's a refresh on the website. And so it'll be, Sonal, I'm stealing your thunder, but go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a few big things in the work right now. From the outreach team, we're working on getting our website redone. And based on a decision that was made by the community, I think we'll be ready to launch the new website towards the end of this month or first week of February, which will be super exciting. And that also entails putting together some strong enablement material and really just answering people's questions that they would have from visiting the website, like how to get baselined, how to join the community, things like that. Working on making a new member starter kit for anybody who's looking to join the community, as we have people joining the Slack and introducing themselves almost every day at this point. So to just make sure they have a good set of resources. And as you mentioned, some road mapping sessions will be coming up. So I think we're going to host some one-on-ones with the TSC to just really gauge their thoughts on improvements to baseline. And hopefully we'll funnel those in as multiple blips that some of our core devs can pick up. So there's a ton in the works with all of our working teams, and super excited to be able to start delivering and showing some of it to the group.
Super cool. But some of the stuff you can already find, right? Like Battleship is in the examples folder in the baseline repo. I've got the repo in here. I'll put that up on the screen. Well, if you go to baselineprotocol.org, you can get into the repo real easy. And if you go into the /examples folder on the repo, you can find the Battleship game. And if you're a developer, you should be able to implement that pretty well. I love it. I think it's such a good example of one of the simplest forms of baselining. And I think we could be doing another thing, right? So right now it'll prove under zero knowledge that you hit or missed, but it won't prove that you have sunk an entire battleship that has been left for you to create. It won't prove to, say, a tournament that who won or lost the game without revealing the positions of the hits and misses or in the battleships. So these are things that can be done that would, further elaborate that battleship game. We can make those blips. I think there's a lot to do around zero knowledge. Hey, Kyle, are you guys using NARC or did you grow your own ZK machine?
We're using NARC.
Okay. That's GNARK for folks. GNARK is I like to sometimes say.
Yeah, we're also looking at using NARC with an interface to, sort of like a statically bound interface to linked libraries that are written in C++.
Very cool.
Yeah, you need that for the recursive proofs, right? Because GNARC does not support recursive proofs yet.
That's right.
And there's a big thing that we've got to do is the test harness, right? So there's a big project around actually building a test harness. There's a project. It's what is it? Blip? Is it Blip 6 or Blip 5? So
I don't think we have that one out yet.
well, we got the test, the simple test, right?
Yeah, the monolithic test suite.
Yeah. So that's the start.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got to go from there.
Yeah, we need
big number. We're gonna have to tink up a lot more grant money for that one.
Yeah, we just basically what we have already. We'll just go to that.
We are working on. It's not finished yet. We are working on a proposal to the governance board to allow anyone to. And there is. So did you say that Open Collective is getting ready to be able to accept crypto for grant money?
Yeah, they're testing it out. And since we were in contact, they said we're going to be on the list for possible first users. And hopefully that'll be coming soon.
Being good product managers, I'm assuming they didn't give you a timeline. No, okay. So that's in the works, and also being able to allow non-sponsors to contribute is another. We've got a proposal I think is pretty attractive where we don't want to cannibalize sponsorship. So if you're out there and you want to be a sponsor, be a sponsor. It's not expensive, but we don't want people to provide big numbers of grant money and not sponsor. So probably what we'll do is if a non-sponsor provides grant money, the proposal at least is that some of that goes into sponsorship to cover that. But those are all the plans that we have, and I don't want to say that those are done. That's just in the works, so the community can know what we're doing.
Could we do, John?
Yep.
John, could we do a sponsorship DAO where people can just where we cap sort of like the donation at a certain amount, and then
I'm living for the day that I can go to a website and just fill out a form and hit a button and have a DAO up. That'd be super cool.
Well, we have templates for that, so it's not as if it's like that hard. It's like terrible, but it would be basically saying that you have people can donate like an ETH or something like that or DAI, and they get governance tokens for that, and they can vote on which proposal which proposals they want to fund. So you could fine grain it and say it's like, oh, I don't want to fund this proposal, but I would pony up more money for that proposal. Do you know what I mean? So that might be
actually no. This is an important thing to. I'm glad you brought that up. So, in governance on standards bodies, and Andres, you know this, and open source communities, right? You don't want people to be able to use money to buy hegemony, right? So you could be a giant sponsor of the Baseline Protocol and the EEA open community, and it won't buy you a single vote for the TSC. It won't buy you any pull over the not for nothing. That's the way Hyperledger also works, and was one of the things I was proudest about with Hyperledger was framing it that way, so that it's not only openly governed open source, but it's also such that contribution is the only thing that buys you any votes, right? So if you want to have a say over the direction of the repo, have more people from your team contributing, and then you get more votes that way. And if you're not contributing, you don't get votes. And so by the same token, you don't want people. So all grant money is governed exclusively by the TSC. They're the only body, and that again, the TSC is voted in by the contributors. So it's a nice circle, right? The PGB can't even tell us what to put the grant money into. Only the TSC.
Also, John, like if you use a DAO, I mean, how would you know who, are the actual, people, entities, organizations, right? And if I was an organization, what
By the time
prevents
we start
people-
using DAOs, they will have figured that out because we're
Well,
not gonna
well,
use it until
we
we can
hope
do
so.
that.
Interestingly, with the governance structure that we're proposing for the Oasis Provide side of it, when organizations sponsor Oasis, the Oasis project, Oasis is doing KYC of those KYB of those organizations based on the size, and so the number of tokens that are allocated in the governance model for those organizations is pro rata to the size of their contribution to the Oasis project.
So you have to be an Oasis sponsor in order to be a validator on your network.
No. That would destroy the opportunity for the crypto community. And so, no, it's permissionless to become a validator. But for the organizations, though, like what we wanted to do, right, was to allow the crypto community to flourish and have a permissionless network to validate, because there's a lot of opportunity there, and a need for a permissionless network. And then on the other side,
yeah, and the inclusive side of that too, just to have something that they can be involved in as well.
Yeah, and then on the governance side.
Okay, so you're not KYCing your validators.
No, not at all.
Okay.
On the governance side, though, when organizations join the open project as a sponsor, there's a direct level of annual commitment that they have to provide. They have to just, how Oasis works. Based on the size of the organization, you sponsor.
Do you guys, whenever somebody says provide in a normal sentence, do you have to drink it provide it? Like,
no, because then we would be drunk every day.
Well, that would explain a lot.
Well, I mean, you gotta look at the paper, John. But yeah, it's a good model. It's an interesting way to do it, I think.
What I like is how there are different models, springing up. We've talked to the base ledger guys, and they've got a point of view. You've got a point of view. Everybody's got. I've heard now 3 more. I was even talking to Richard Gendel Brown, my old friend. And now it's like we're getting on the same side, because we're both talking about different approaches, right? We're more ZK and he's more TEEs, but it's the same. It's trying to solve the same problem, trying to coordinate without unnecessarily giving up data to counterparties. So we're all. He's got his approach, and I could see a very easy fit with what he's doing with the baseline standard at some point in the future. So. He and I had to kind of argue whether Corda or Ethereum or Fabric was the best thing. And in this environment, it's just all the same problem, and different tools for different strokes, I guess, which is good. So there's all different approaches. So you're doing a permissionless thing there. Base Ledger is permissioned. I don't know which one is more valid. I think they're probably good for different things. Which is good.
Well, so the EVM compliance on our side is it's a different tool for
totally different tools. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, they'll probably appeal to different people for different reasons. Very good. Mark Haddle, got anything on your list of things to talk about? I know you're doing a lot in the outreach community.
Yeah, a lot of activity been going on in the outreach. We're really wanted to nail down the website, because it's probably going to be the first point of contact for an interested party that either read an article or maybe saw a presentation or attended this show, and wanted to see how they could go ahead and get baseline, which is a main point of focus, for the website. How do you get baseline? And it's one of those things we're kind of anticipating that a lot of people are going to make a lot of assumptions, saying, well, if I've got a baseline, I've got to, make an investment in all this capital equipment and talent, and have a dev team actually run up and maintain it.
Yeah, when you say it like it's big, it feels like this big scary thing. Oh, I got to learn how to get baseline. I'm like, no, you need to implement a way of signing EDDSA instead of ECDSA, sign digital signatures, have a standards compliant messaging method. It's 5 things, right? If you need to prove attributes of information without sharing the information, then you need a circuit generator, and then you need a place to put the proofs, right? It's kind of a
look at Blip 10. I think there's a lot of answers right there.
Yeah, Blip 10.
There will be. And one thing that we're doing, and it's something that I'm actually, kind of throwing out to a little bit more of the community, is, we want to actually start to put together a mechanism in place, aside from a cookbook or a cake mix of how do you go ahead and get started at baseline, is really how do you want to sit there and flesh out probably more, complex type capability framework on there if you want to start minting your own NFTs, and if you want to start having some DeFi type functions and stuff like that, as opposed to just synchronizing your data. We want to be able to offer that as well. And and that's where you start to look at the solution provider aspect of it, because when it comes to baseline, we don't have a single vendor that does all the elements of the stack. So you need to have some kind of familiar.
I would disagree. I think we actually do.
Provide will.
I think we
certainly
provide.
be trying to be that, right?
No, I mean, I think we've done it. I think we've done a really good job of that, actually providing all of the different components, and we're going to offer it as a public good for enterprise. So
fair enough, but I'll tell you what. And I'm sure Samara would agree. As co-chairs, we will be happy for you when you're successful, and
competition's great.
For others that are trying
competition,
to tailpipe, right?
We're enabling competition. We're literally donating all of our code into the public domain. So bring it on.
Yeah.
So, but right now, under God, on January 19th, we don't have a single provider yet that has a fully fleshed out stack, and so we want.
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. So, excuse me. And so. The big thing that we have right now is, putting out a lot of the enablement content, the website. We have a lot of people that are, really coming in and giving, a lot of their time and talent to really making this good. It's one of those, you only get, one chance to make a good first impression, and we want to be mindful of that and make sure that we've got the best impression out there. So, and that's a lot of anticipating.
I do agree with that.
What would I be thinking about as I was going on and trying to find out more about baseline?
Right on.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, we need that. We need the easy path for. Like the big solution providers that are already now. We've had conversations where. There's a lot of things we don't know about because it just happens without us knowing. But we've had I've had at least one conversation with a big provider that is saying, "Hey, we need to set up a baseline practice." Well, how do they do that? Where's the slideshow for that? How do they get support in the community and in their company on that and their customers? So I think it's amazing how powerful a good slideshow will be. I mean, the tree trunk thing that I'm working on, treetrunk.io. Go to treetrunk.io. Shilling is allowed on the show. The slideshow itself just was powerful enough to get tons of support early on because people got it. So a good slideshow can make a difference. Right. I'm glad. Thanks for that, Mark. Hey, there's one. You brought up the question of tokens, and with Andreas here and Kyle and Nick, and let me ask about tokens. I've been having this thing in my head, and I had a call with some folks about this the other day, and I just keep on thinking, if XML was too fat for being the long road of history, which it was, right? JSON, I mean, who seriously uses starts a project with XML these days? NFTs are way bigger and expensive. Why do I want to pack my data into an NFT? Why do I even want to pack my hash into an NFT unless there's a protocol that requires that input? In homage to, like Tin and Drop, right? Tin and Drop require an NFT input so that you got to get it in there that way. But why not strip that out and just put out the RNA, right? And say that the RNA being, my proof, right? Put the proof on the Merkle tree. It's much smaller. And then use that and publish. This is something I think we've got to work on. Kyle and the core devs community. Sonal, I think it might be a good blip. I don't think, and Andreas, what would you say to this? I don't think we have a strong enough, at least in my head, it's not strong enough, path to setting up a CCSM such that you have a way of publishing the location into which a proof will go when it isn't there yet. And I see lots of application of that where I can say sort of the three body problem where I have two parties that need to drop a proof onto a bulletin board, and so the third party or the other parties can watch for that. When they see it, that's their event listener. They grab that proof, they run the validation, and then they get to do their thing.
Sounds like a little bit like the diamond pattern or diamond storage pattern today.
It's a loose coupling distributed systems pattern.
Actually, it's there.
There's ways to do it. But
there's an app for that.
yeah, there is. It's called Create 3.
No, it's
Create
actually
two. Create 2.
it's actually it's actually
Create 2.
much more mundane and than that. So you'd
have to carve out memory space on that.
More mundane than Create 2.
No.
We can't call it Create 3, Andreas.
Sorry, Andreas.
All good. is what you're doing, right? Is terribly simple. You're giving you have an IPFS node.
Very simple, yeah.
That is a gateway, right? I mean, for the provider, right? The service provider who offers that service, right? And you can simply create a relative link that is like, hey, go to this relative link, right? And then you will see it. And then the relative link is you can pin it to either a permissioned or the IPFS network itself, and you can update the hash in the end and update the relative link, and they can wait and click on it, and every single time
when it's there,
after a couple of
it's
minutes,
there.
and when it's there, it's there.
There's long polling, right? I mean,
yeah. So it's like but that is a. Yeah. If you want to do it in a distributed manner, either permissioned or unpermissioned, there's a way through IPFS to do that, to publish out that content and even update it under the hood until you're it's like over time without breaking the link. It's like, wait a second, isn't that like our GitHub problem?
It's very similar, yeah.
But I would love a CCSM that came out of the box. Where I could pass a parameter to say, or where I could.
But you have that sort of now.
And say this location, this Merkle tree, this location. I'm
you have
reserving
that
memory location.
But you can just.
It's diamond storage
right now.
It is.
Well, I mean, what
if it's on chain? If it's on chain, it's diamond storage.
Yeah, you can even do the pointer to the you could actually, you know what you could do? You can even I can do you one better. You can actually do an entire little app on IPFS that you publish out that actually does the smart contract call and everything, because you can run code on
well, that would be the good hack, but do we agree? I think that's a nice pattern. I could find a lot of utility in that. And again, I don't need an NFT. Oddly, I am starting an NFT company, so obviously I have a more nuanced position on NFTs. I am starting an NFT company. Clearly, I like NFTs.
We are starting an NFT company.
Sort of.
Oh, you're right, Andreas. You and I are starting an NFT company. Yeah.
I've seen that
and
movie
a few
before.
others.
I mean, we are starting it until I pull shenanigans. I am starting. No, I'm kidding. No, we can't wait to tell you guys all about it. Andreas is the golden goose, man. Amazing work. But anyway, that's for another day in a different form. Everybody should go to ETH Denver. Anybody here going to ETH Denver?
Yep. Should be fun.
Sweet. Nick, you have any COVID left in your body? If you come,
no, I don't. I'm.
You're all good to travel.
I am. I can get on planes.
You'll be.
I've got multiple positive PCR tests in my past and multiple negative antigen tests in my current pocket. So, yeah.
Right on. So back to the NFT thing, and then we can close. We're all about closing in the top of the hour. I mean, what say you to that, Andreas? I mean, why do I need an NFT if I have baseline data that's verified, and I have my proof of that data and the attributes of that data that I need to prove. Oh, you're on mute.
Say that again.
Why do I?
Yeah.
Where is there utility that exceeds the fatness and expense of an NFT in packing corporate data into an NFT on any kind of blockchain, as opposed to leaving the data in a database and not and taking the
Are you talking about putting? Are you talking about putting data on a blockchain, John?
Well, it comes back to that, but forget about on a blockchain.
Wait a minute.
Into NFTs.
Hold on. I'm failing to parse this.
So hold on. And this comes back to our old argument. It's like do we need like zero knowledge proofs and on-chain verifiability on
and not always
on-chain?
right? It's not always necessary.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Just let me preface so that my answer actually makes sense. It's a question of data availability. Right? It's like, and that is whether it's an NFT or an ERC20 or whatever, any smart contract, you're packing relative external data on chain is a question of data availability of that.
Okay.
Of that for your business purposes. If you need data available all the time with 100% uptime
and no tampering. And you need that more than you're worried about the fatness of the protocol, the expense of the storage, and the complexity, and you don't care that everybody is going to wind up seeing it. Then that would be that would be your decision tree. I don't care about these 4 things, but I really, really care about data availability and always and it being always available.
Data availability to a third party.
To third party.
That I possibly might not know yet.
Right.
So I might get queried, right? And I might don't want to give access to my environment to a third party, right? Because I cannot constrain or whatever. There's a risk. I need to, it's like maximally secure, right? Then if I can package it cryptographically, the data, and put it out into the public, that only the other party knows how to interpret that data, but it's available to them at any point in time without having to touch my systems. Again, it's about not touching my systems. It's like no one touched my systems. It's like, bugger off, right? It's like no one touched my right, bugger off.
I'm going to end it on bugger off, everybody. That's going to be the last line of this show.
Yeah,
it's such a pleasure for seeing everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bugger off.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bugger off.
Bugger off.